Welcome to episode 24 of Descent Into the Wormhole, where we discuss everything from ancient civilization to modern day social issues and everything in between. I'm Les.
And I'm Stevie J, and today we're going to take a deep dive into New Year's Eve and the origins of New Year's Eve. So grab a coffee, well, probably grab a bottle of booze because it's New Year's Eve, and set the old cruise control if you're driving, and let's get into it. So New Year's Eve, now I mentioned a bottle of booze, and what is New Year's Eve today? Or what do you see New Year's Eve as today?
A reason to go out and get loaded.
Or to use a technical term, shit-faced. Like just to get entirely drunk and maybe even kiss somebody at midnight. Ooh. So, I mean, but when you think about it, that's what everybody, you know, if you say this, what are you doing for New Year's? I'm catching up with this group of people. We're going to get drunk and party. But why? That's the question. Why?
That's a really great question, because in our Christmas episode, I happened to mention that like I haven't been out in decades for New Year's Eve. Decades. And I can't stomach the thought of going out. And God bless the people who go and they get dressed up and they go and they have a great time and all those wonderful things. But I just think it's a time for the partiers just to let loose.
Yeah. Because
that's what I think. Because for me, it's at home in my jammies by 10:30 with the cat, watching a movie and enjoying the fact that I'm not in heels in the cold, standing outside waiting for a cab.
Yes.
Like, I think of those moments and I think I am so grateful to be in my jammies right now.
Well, and I'm totally with you. Like these days I'm pretty much the same, but not always. Like I used to do New Year's, and because opposite ends of the earth, obviously it's cold for you, which I totally get. The gym jams, that's where I'd be. But one year we did a New Year's here, and it was dress up party, and it was 42 degrees, I think, that day. And guess what this guy decided to dress up as? Captain Jack Sparrow with the full pirate outfit, beard, wig, everything.
You're kidding. In that heat. Now we know how Johnny felt.
Yes.
Filming in Australia.
Exactly. It was so damn hot.
Do you have pictures?
I think I do have pictures somewhere, actually.
Oh.
Yes. I will share. I'm a sharing kind of guy. So, but yeah, like it's different, obviously, opposite ends of the earth, but like temperature wise and stuff. But here, you know, I totally get the same thing because a lot of people will get dressed up, and albeit wearing a lot less than what you would have to wear over there, but like they'll dress up in the heels and the outfit and the, you know, doing the do and getting the fro ready and all of that, and head into the city. And like here in the city, the big thing is to go and try and find a spot to watch the fireworks, because they put the fireworks out on boats in the river and then shoot the fireworks up from there. It is really cool. But what's not cool is trying to get a spot to watch that and being like sandwiched up against 15,000 people on one bridge trying to watch the you know, this is so much fun. I love this. But I don't know. To me now, it's just like, you know, much like Christmas, to be honest, except for the kids side of things. But it's just another night. It's just another day, really.
Yeah. And, you know, as I said, I love it when people get excited over things, and I love how people get dressed up and like dressed to the nines and they look so good and they're all out to have a good time. It's not my jam anymore. I've been there. I've done it. I've got the t-shirt, multiples of them. I'm good.
Yeah. You've had the experience before.
I have. Yeah. And it could be the fact that it's a weather faction for me.
Mm-hmm.
That could be it. Like I may be able to be swayed if it was warmer weather.
Yeah.
And that could be it. But to me, it's just a whole lot of it's fighting for cabs. It's a lot of drinking. It's, not getting home till noon the next day. It's all of those things wrapped into one. And yeah.
And then having a hangover for about 7 days as well.
Absolutely.
And trying to
That's
recover.
not my jam at all.
Oh, no. Me either. Me either. But it's interesting what you say about the warmth, because there is something about that. And maybe I could be swayed too to do something on New Year's Eve if it involved maybe just going to the beach and just like, chilling out at the beach.
Yeah.
And if it's a warm night, which it usually is here, watching the stars and stuff like that, that would be cool.
That would be cool.
So
yeah, I think it's the amount of people that kind of ruin it. Like if you're not a large group of people person, it really does. It's really it's not inviting. It's not an inviting place.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And with all those people brings a whole lot of different energies to the party as well, doesn't it?
It really does.
And personalities, which can be amusing to watch, but not so amusing to be a part of, I don't feel.
Yeah.
Mm.
I do got to say though, I was just thinking, they say, when women go to the bathroom, when they go to the bars, they're gone forever because we all have conversations in there. We're meeting, we're greeting, we're having great conversations. And I'm just thinking, I hope all the girls I met in the bathrooms over my New Year's Eve party days, I hope they're okay. I hope they're happy and healthy and just doing fantastic in life.
Hopefully they're still not sitting in the bathroom and something would be terribly, terribly wrong. All right. So that's New Year's Eve as it stands today. Now, I don't know, what is it like over there actually with the kisses? Like, is that still the thing?
There's kisses. Oh, there's kisses.
All right. Between random people?
It depends. It really depends. Random people you came with, but I do also know there's a sadder side to New Year's when people take that kiss very, very seriously and they have no one to kiss on New Year's Eve. And that's the thing that ruins their night. And I think inherently ruins their year because you're to take that energy in with you for the year. So really what you set your intention on grows. So if you're setting your intention on, well, New Year's was shit because I didn't get to kiss anybody. So that's how you're starting off your new year.
Yeah.
And I just don't I understand there's a reason behind it. And I understand the symbolism. I understand the how we got to this point and, kissing random people. But I'm pretty sure with the state of the world right now, kissing is going to be out unless that is your person.
Yeah. Well, kissing with masks doesn't quite have the same feel to it, does it?
No, thanks. I'm not down for that.
It turns into like this weird mix of paper mache.
Ew.
Ew. Ew. Gross. I think I felt like I just had a little hairball then when I was saying that. But
who are you kissing? Getting hairballs.
Hey, you can't leave out the animals, all right?
Oh,
they're people too. Hang on a minute. That doesn't really make sense.
Well, they are. They're little peoples.
Well, they have souls.
Or big peoples.
They have souls. That's what I should say. Okay, so from the random kissing and the New Year's that it is today, I wonder, I've always wondered, and we always bring up these kind of topics just in conversation. And much like the Christmas episode that we did last week, the New Year's origins are also very interesting. Now, I feel like even though Christmas was essentially really just made up, New Year's is another level of made up because as we go through this, we see that it was really chopped, changed, made to suit, made to fit different things. But it wasn't always that way. I feel like actually in the beginning, it probably had some more meaning.
It probably did. It probably did. When it was celebrated on the time it was supposed to be celebrated, not on a shift-a-rooney to accommodate another holiday.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so I guess we should probably start back at the beginning, or as far as what we could find is the beginning of New Year's. which, like so many other things, not only that we talk about on this podcast, but that are just true in general, is with the Babylonians. So the Babylonians, like most things, it's these origins started with the Babylonians. So 4,000 years ago, the Babylonians celebrated the new moon following the vernal equinox, which was late March. So late March was when the new year started, way, way, way back then. And they celebrated it with a big festival that was called, I hope I say this right, Akitu, which is Sumerian for barley. And they celebrated it because it was the time for harvesting barley.
And also, when we read this, I also said, well, that makes sense too, because of the Zodiac calendar.
Yes.
Like the Zodiac. So Aries is in March, and Aries is first out of the gate when it comes to all of the Zodiac signs. So it makes sense that the year would start with the beginning of the Zodiac calendar.
Yes.
That would systematically make sense.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make sense now that Aries is in like it's in March, but it's 3 months into the year, but we're first out of the gate. I'm in Aries, but we're first out of the gate.
Yeah.
So I don't know so that makes more sense. That makes more sense that it was originally
right
the way that they when we went by the stars, the moon, and the universe and all that. And I would any kind of cycle other than the one they've tried to force upon us. It adds up.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing too is with that, like you're spot on with that. It makes so much sense. And the other thing too is that, you know, when you said then that going by the actual astrological clock and the actual measurements that they had back then and used for not just 4,000 years ago, but for a long, long time, and by lots of ancient civilizations who knew a lot more than us about the universe. It was March, and then it was literally made up days, calendars, all of those things that changed it for everybody. So just while we're on the Babylonians though as well, they also worshipped a god called Marduk at the same time, and it was like a celebration for him he was a god who overthrew a goddess of the sea, Tiamat, at the time. So that was what they believed, and that's another part of the reason why they celebrated. So just a little side note, Marduk was the god of the sun, basically. So in Sumerian, it translates to calf of the sun or solar calf. So
okay.
I guess if you wanted to follow that down the rabbit hole, you could almost even say, being that it's a calf, so a young, baby, you could say it's the son of God almost. Mm-hmm. Son of the sun, and the sun representing God to those civilizations.
Is this where we got Baby New Year from?
Ooh, maybe.
I just had that thought.
It's a good thought.
Because I always wondered where we got Baby New Year from. Like, what the hell? What is a baby doing? Getting thrown into the mix and we're all drinking. A lot of babies are conceived on New Year's.
That's true. That's true. That's the goal of a lot of people on New Year's. But that's a really good point. And I feel like nowhere these days, at least, the legal age for drinking is 8 months or under a year. So, yeah, when did the babies get thrown in there? But that's interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. I also like this next one.
Well, Tiamat, I just on those two gods. So goddess was Tiamat, and she was her literally name. Her name in Sumerian means O-sea, so she was the goddess of the sea. And the celebration at New Year's was Marduk defeating Tiamat, so defeating the sea, which is interesting to me. And a lot of this stuff I feel is metaphorical as well. So, like the sun defeating the sea, what does that mean? Like, was the sea causing problems at the time? Were they having issues with the oceans and with water flooding their crops? Or like what was happening? What happened that the sun needed to defeat the sea at the time.
Well, I wonder if there was an Atlantis situation before Atlantis, because history repeats itself.
It
So
does.
when did Atlantis drop?
Yes, that's a good point. That's a good question.
Because I'm just wondering, like, if something happened and there was a huge mass flooding, but the sun needed to come in and dry up all the rain.
And then Itsy Wincy Spider climbed up the spout again.
Yeah. Exactly. I apologize. I don't know.
Don't apologize. I love it. We need a nursery rhyme in there, I feel.
So I wonder if that was it. Like the sun had to come in and kind of change the weather almost, because the sun I feel the sun's energy can change the weather.
Yes.
Because it's sunny. It's a beautiful day. It drives out the rain and
yeah.
So I wonder.
Well, but it's not just. That's a great point. It's not just the sun and like the heat and the light and everything. It's also the electromagnetism of the sun and the gravity of the sun. So those things, like if we think about the moon pulling the tides and the gravity of the moon pulling the tides, an event with the sun. So some event with the sun could have happened that where either it got super hot or the gravity of the sun changed or something like that, and it made the seas recede. So it defeated the seas in that moment, in that year.
Water's also a conductor.
Oh, yeah, it is too.
So was there an energy shift that needed to happen?
Good question.
Because when we go to the Egyptians, like when we finally get to the Egyptians, the water is important.
Yes, good point. Well, I love it. I love this. There's so much to explore with this. So the other thing with the Babylonians was it was a time for crowning a king as well. The new king would be crowned on the Vernal Equinox or March, as we know it now. But like you just mentioned there was other civilizations too. So in ancient times, so the Egyptians, the year began with the flooding of the Nile, coinciding with the rising of the star Sirius. And of course, we know the Egyptians were very star focused and very clever when it came to all things astrological. So very, very interesting that was March as well. And when we get into the Romans in a minute, we can sort of see how it went from March to being January in what we know today. But the Chinese as well, like the Chinese is interesting, and that's still celebrated at the same time now as it was back then, which is the first day of the new year being the second moon after the winter solstice.
Yeah. So why did the Chinese calendar not shift, but the other ones did? Because the Orthodox didn't shift either. Like, why was it just? I don't know. Did they just put their foot down and say, "Fuck you, we're not changing"? Because that's what I would do.
Yeah, well, I think they did. Well, what reason would they have to change? That's the thing. Like, what?
To accommodate everybody else. And no, thank you. We don't do that around here.
Yeah, we don't like that kind around here. I mean, it makes no sense. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
But the Romans really, obviously we know the Roman influence on the world. It was pretty big, the Roman influence. And I feel like the Roman influence was more far-reaching because if you think about the Roman conquerors, they only really took over one continent. They moved over to the UK as well, which I feel is the important part, because when they moved to Britain, eventually Britain ended up taking over most of the world. And that's where we get most of our traditions from these days, is from Britain. And so it's really Roman in historical sense. So the Romans, so interestingly, the first calendar that was produced by the Romans was only 304 days of the year. And it started also at the vernal equinox, also March. And it was created by the Emperor Romulus. Okay, just a little tidbit there. But this is a very long time ago as well. Very, very long time ago. But in 800 BC, another king, and I don't know if I'm going to butcher this name, Pompilius.
Sounds right.
Yeah, okay, cool. Pompilius added Januaris and Februaris to the calendar. So if you had take March and add 2 more months, that makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. But what was his, what did that add to his repertoire to add 2 more months?
Well, interestingly, I believe it actually, the calendar they were using at the time, the 304-day calendar, fell out of sync with the sun and the stars and the actual cycle. Yeah. And so, and don't forget also that a lot of these Roman leaders and emperors and things were very ego driven. So it was like, I'm going to leave. And around that time, it's all about, I need to leave my stamp, my mark on my reign throughout history. So everybody knows my name. You know, there's a famous story about Achilles in Greek mythology about how he was so intent on his name being remembered forever. And that was why he wanted to be glorious in war, so that he'd be remembered for the eons to come. And so when these emperors and all these, teetotalers at the top want to change things around, it's like, well, that's my project, that's my thing, that's what I'm going to be known for, is I changed the year. I added a couple of months.
The thing is, because everything was cyclical, so you had your cycles and the moon and the things and the stuffs.
Yep.
When you start screwing with that, and you actually have the animals on the planet, and like us included, and all the other animals doing their thing, we're supposed to be working in sync with each other. We're supposed to be one organism making everything work. So as soon as you knock that off balance, because now you're not going by the stars, now you're not actually going by the zodiac, now you're not going by the cycles of the moon and the stars and this and the stuff. What has that done to us mentally and vibrationally? What has that done to us?
Oh, I love it. I love it. Not good things, I feel, is the answer. Not good things.
Is that why we're at this stage?
I feel we could be. I feel it could be. And I was just going to say, like, how's the ego of man, of humans, because when you just said that, it got me thinking, this is a natural cycle of the universe. It's a natural cycle of the universe. And who the fuck are we to come along and say, well, we're going to imprint and plant these dates and these calendars and these things on top of it and say that is what's real. But the thing is... Not
only that, because I want to be famous.
Yeah, exactly. I want to be known as the person who did that. Well, the thing is, like, the cycle continues and we have no influence on it.
Right.
We cannot change that cycle of the universe.
No.
So anything that we say, like, I mean, really, I could stand up tomorrow, or you could stand up tomorrow, and we could say, you know what, we're adding another month. It's called Unicornus. Like, that's the new month, Unicornus.
Yep,
there's now 13 months in the year.
Yeah. And it will have 45 days. No, 44 days.
Let's go with 44. Yeah. 44 days. What does that mean? Like, no,
nothing.
But so much of what we talk about is the collective agreement in an ideal. And that's what the Romans were able to do, I guess, because they had such a far reach that they could say, no, whatever we say, that's what it is. And then it just hung on and stuck around.
Yeah.
But what's interesting...
When you threaten enough people, tend to go along with your story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So true. Well, talking about it falling out of sync with the actual cycle, after those 2 months were added, it fell out of sync again. Oh, who would have thunk it? So it fell out of sync again. And so that was 800 BC that Pompilius added January and February. And then in 46 BC, Julius Chicken Caesar introduced the Julian calendar, and the wording here is very important. Decreed, which means just said, that January 1st was the first day of the year. And they started making sacrifices to the god Janus, I want to say Janus, but Janus, of new beginnings. So the god of new beginnings, Janus, January, and he's like, yeah, cool, let's make it January 1st. So even though those 2 months were added, in that 800 years, they were still celebrating in March, the new year. And then Chicken Caesar came along and said, no, not having that. We're going to make it in January because I say so. And there's my stamp on history to say I did something. I changed something. I mean, that's being a little bit glib, I guess, or a little bit dismissive of the other things that Caesar did. But yeah, I mean, that's his long-standing historical stamp on time and months and all of that. So
could you? I'm just thinking. Like, imagine. Let's just say the Queen of England, only because she's both our queen and most people know her.
Yeah,
I'm not picking on her. Could you imagine if she rocked up and said, "We're adding 3 more months. Those 3 months are going to be, staggered into the current calendar, and they're all going to have." 10 days for the week. And they're going to equal a year total each.
Yeah.
Like, it'll be an extra year. Like, however many days I add on and however many weeks I add on is going to add an extra year to your year. So a calendar year will actually be 2 years. So 2 calendar years, like it would extend everything. Could you imagine if she rocked up and did that and everyone was just like, oh, bravo, Queenie. That's a great idea.
Thank you.
Change it all.
Yes, please. Add extra work days, please. I want more work days.
Yeah. Well, I feel like some higher upper management would love that. Don't want to give anyone any ideas, but
yes.
That would be her, because she reigns over many, many people. So she could essentially do that. Yeah. If Caesar and this other dude could do it, so could she rightfully.
Yep. She really could. Yeah. It really could just make 1 year actually 3 years long.
Yeah. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
And we all just went along with it. We switched up everything. We changed everything to accommodate.
And meanwhile, in reality, in the universe, nothing actually changes. You would still see the seasons go by as they go by.
How did they calculate the zodiacs before the 12-month cycle?
Well, that's a really good question because I feel that the zodiac, all of that stuff came first. Everything else was based on the zodiac.
Yeah.
But I don't know why they weren't basing it on the zodiac. Well, see, this is the thing. The Babylonians really didn't have months at all. They didn't have months. It was just cycles. So there was no like squeezing this into that or trying to fit this square peg into the round hole and all of that to make their made up calendar suit. So they were doing it by the zodiac. And that's where the Romans really probably balls it up because they started with 304 days.
Yeah.
Which didn't make up 12 on the zodiac.
Because there are 13 zodiacs. I forget what that 13th forgotten one is. I know there's 13, but that would make sense of 13 cycles because there's 13 moons in a year. Women have 13 cycles. Everything is tied to the moon and 13 and cycles. So that would make sense that I forget what it is. I'm so sorry. I have to go back and figure it out. It's on the Mayan calendar, actually, the 13th zodiac.
Okay, cool. All right.
So that's got me really curious because then what we're going by, I may not be an Aries at all. I'm pretty sure I am. Their description of me is like, I'm like, I'm me. That is me.
Well, that's a really good point though, because the zodiacs could be different too.
Yeah. Well, because if you're adding days and adding months, You're throwing everything off.
Yeah.
Because if you added an extra month, it doesn't mean a woman is pregnant for an extra month.
No, that's right.
It doesn't change
it's not going to change. Exactly.
It doesn't change nature.
Exactly. It doesn't make the sun appear in the sky for any longer or any less.
No,
that's for sure.
No.
Good point. Huh. All right. Well, let's do an episode on Zodiacs, I feel.
I think we should. We need to find a Zodiac expert, I feel, for this one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, of course, history is nothing if we don't mention Christians, because Christians love to dip their fingers in everything, don't they? So Christian leaders in early times, they used to celebrate December 25th as the new year because it was to honor sweet baby Jesus. And then...
Or sweet baby Mithras.
Ooh, I'm going to go with Mithras and the sun as well itself.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Amen, Ra. So, so Christian leaders said, you know what? Nah, we're going to celebrate... Christian leaders said, no, we're going to celebrate the New Year on the 25th of December, the birth of sweet baby Jesus. We covered Christmas last week. But then in 1582, and the point of bringing this up is the fact that they just decide. There's no meaning behind it. It's just, let's just decide to make this so.
Yeah.
So in 1582 AD, so this is, after Christ, the Pope said, actually, do you know what? Hey, fellas, let's change it back to January 1st. And it was so. So from 1582, Christians have celebrated New Year's Day as January 1st.
Wasn't it because they didn't want the boozing and the sex with multiple partners, multiple people in the same bed? They didn't want any of that. I don't want to say the word. They didn't want any of that intruding on sweet baby Jesus. Wasn't that it? Like they didn't want the partiers to sully the sweet baby Jesus' name.
I think you're right. They didn't want the drinking and the orgies on that day to to maybe taint the sweet baby Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you're right.
Yeah.
But the point of that is, I think the lesson here is it's all fucking made up. I was just going to say anybody argues about anything. Exactly. I was just going to say the same thing. It's all made up. So the only thing that's not made up in all of this is that the universe, the planet, us, animals, we all go through a cycle that we can't influence.
Right.
On call it a year if you want to put that label on it, a year, but we all go through a cycle over and over again, and we can't influence that. There's nothing we can do about it. So, like you said, why argue about it? Yeah. And why change it as well? Like, why keep changing it? Why even label it in the first place, to be honest?
Well,
I mean, I suppose...
You can't control the people without a label. Come on.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
You know better than that.
I do. I'm sorry. That's ridiculous. We all need a label. I feel like we should be wearing them though. Like, like celebrity heads, just put the labels up there. And then we get into the question of who gets to decide the labels.
It won't be us.
It
won't be us and ourselves. It will not.
No, that's right. And you'd have to register the label and pay a fee, and
there will be a fee. Stop it. Stop giving people ideas, because you give the wrong person that idea. There's going to be like a $1,000 registry fee, and if you don't have your label, you can't leave your house.
Right. It's like registration plates on your vehicle, like on your car. You got to slap that on the forehead before you go out.
I'm good.
You get pulled over by the police on a walk, and they're like, license and registration plates. Like, oh, sorry, officer, I must have left it at home.
Oh, they would microchip that.
Ooh, they would. They would.
Yeah, that's a topic for another day. But
it is, and it's a deep one, and we will definitely explore that But I wanted to, I thought it'd be cool, and you found a really, really good article on this. The traditions of different countries. Do you want to take us through that?
Yes, I do, because you thought I was shitting you, but my father actually does one of these. Actually, we actually do a bunch of these. So it's really interesting how the different nationalities have adopted each other's traditions. So in Spain, eating grapes for good luck. So in Spain, you'll eat 12 grapes at the stroke of midnight. And this is to honor the tradition that started in the late 19th century. Spaniards enjoy eating one grape for each of the 12 bell strikes after midnight in hopes that this will bring about a year of good fortune and prosperity. We do this. If I'm up at midnight, I will have 12 grapes.
Which is rare, but it could happen.
Yeah, well, it would be a fluke.
Well, I imagine these grapes aren't sour either. Like,
no sour grapes.
No one wants sour grapes at New Year's.
Put a damper on the whole thing, wouldn't it?
It would.
Now, in Scotland, first footing. So in Scotland, the day before January 1st is so important that there's even an official name for it. I'm going to screw this up. For all the Scots out there, you can correct me, but be kind about it. Hogmanay?
I think you did pretty well. I would have gone Hogmanay, but that's because of the French.
I like that better.
That's because of the French in me. So what do I do?
I like that better. So on this day, the Scottish observe many traditions, but easily one of their most famous is first footing. According to Scottish beliefs, the first person who crosses through the threshold of your house after midnight on New Year's Day should be a dark-haired male if you wish to have good luck in the coming year. Traditionally, these men come bearing gifts of coal, salt, and shortbread, and whiskey, all in which further contribute to the idea of having good fortune. But why a dark-haired man? Indeed. So, back in Scotland was being invaded by the Vikings. The last thing you wanted to see at your doorstep was a light-haired man bearing a giant axe.
I don't want to see that.
I agree.
And I still don't want to see that.
No.
But this one's so interesting because this is the one that I thought you were shitting me about.
Yeah, my dad does this.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And I always thought it was from his side of the family, like his traditionals. And that would have been Ukrainian. So I don't know, but it's just, this is what he does. And you were making jokes about it. I was like, oh no, like he actually does it.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's hilarious. Oh, right, you actually do it. Yeah. So what does he bring in though? Because I'm imagining he's not bringing in too much coal, right? What does he bring in?
Bread, money, booze. And I don't remember what the other thing is, but there's three things. Maybe it could be grapes. I'm not sure. But there's definitely, and so he goes out at like 2 minutes before midnight, and then the ball drops, and then he came back in.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, my mom's got pictures of him doing it year after year, him coming back in the door.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how does the luck go? Does the luck work?
I think it works. I'm actually pretty sure it works.
That's awesome. That's so good.
Yeah.
I love that you do that because I've never had a tradition like that. We don't have anything, at least in my family,
Really?
We don't have any traditions like that. No. We've never really as a family celebrated New Year's together at all as a family. We've never even really been together on New Year's as a family. But yeah, I think that's really cool. Like just to have something like that that's just, you still do and it's always been done. Now I do have a very serious question though. How many times have you been awake to witness Dad doing this?
Oh, well, when I was younger, and obviously before I was old enough to go out by myself, we would spend it with my godparents. So if my godbrother and I stayed up late enough, we witnessed it. If we didn't, we didn't. I can't remember how many times. But I don't remember being alone. Like I don't remember it ever being a year that it was just us. Like I always remember it being with them.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
And with the drinks, does everybody get a drink? Like when Dad walks through with the booze and the...
Oh, yeah, they're drinking.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. It's not just symbolic. Everyone gets to have a drink as well.
Yeah, everyone gets to have a drink, yeah.
I feel like whiskey would be a good one for the colder parts of the world as well.
Yeah. Or vodka.
Yes. Has anyone forgotten poor old Dad and left him out in the cold with the door locked? That might...
Is that really forgetting?
We didn't like what you did this year, Dad.
There was an airing of the grievances.
Well, you didn't. The feats of strength, he defeated everybody. Well, guess what, Dad? That's for last week.
Yeah.
The hanging of the clock was crooked.
Yeah, we didn't like it.
Oh, that's so good, though.
Not at all.
That's so good. I love that you do that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So I am going to apologize to this side of the world. So in the Netherlands, you're eating oliebollen. Is that correct?
Seems good to me.
I apologize, guys. So it says the reasoning behind this Dutch New Year's Eve tradition is slightly odd, to say the least. Ancient Germanic tribes would eat these pieces of deep-fried dough during the Yule, so that when the goddess Perchta, better known as Perchta the belly slitter, tried to cut their stomachs open and fill them with trash, a punishment for those who hadn't sufficiently partaked in Yuletide cheer. So if you were a grump, this broad would come up, slice your belly, and that was your punishment for being a stick in the mud, for not partaking in the Yuletide festivities.
So basically, if you don't get absolutely shit-faced and take your pants off and dance on the table, she's going to slit your belly open like you haven't done enough. You haven't done well enough. Yeah. Is that where it comes from? The whole, I've got to get entirely pissed, just blind drunk on New Year's because I've got to satisfy Perchta? Is that what it is?
She's coming to get me, maybe.
The belly slitter.
She's coming to get us all.
Yeah.
My belly's still intact.
Oh, that's a good point.
So it says the fat from the dough would cause her sword to slide right off. But also, I feel a lot of gallbladder issues would be involved in that too. So these are enjoyed on New Year's Eve, and you're hard pressed to find a Dutch food vendor in the winter months who isn't selling these donut-like balls. I've never seen these before.
No, me either.
I've never seen them.
Either. When I went to the Netherlands, I didn't see them, but I wasn't there in like New Year's time, so maybe that makes sense.
Okay.
But interesting.
Yeah,
interesting. Like grim, very very fucking grim. That one with the belly slitter.
Are you kidding? Can you imagine? Like that's what you teach your kids?
Yeah.
You got to get referring drunk, or a person's gonna come get you. Fuck me.
Wow. Those crazy Dutch, eh?
Yep. Jeez.
Oh, well, I've got a question for any Dutch people watching out there. Have you ever seen the belly slitter? Has anyone ever come across the belly slitter? It's like she's coming towards you and you just quickly find a bottle of booze and just, wait, I'm nearly there.
I'm having fun.
There's plenty of cheer, I swear.
All these traditions. Now, this one in Russia caught both of our attention. Planting underwater trees. The fuck?
Yeah.
For the past 25 years or so, it has been a Russian holiday tradition for two divers, aptly named Father Frost and the Ice Maiden, to venture into a frozen lake, Baikal, the world's largest freshwater lake, and take a New Year tree more than 100 feet below the surface. Due to the temperatures normally well below freezing in Russia on New Year's Eve, people travel from all over the world to take part in this frozen party. I need to Google more on this. I need more information because I'm fascinated.
Me too. I need to know what happens to the tree, though. I need to know what happens to the tree.
Do we decorate it? Do we check on it? Do we plant it? Do we actually plant it into the bottom of the lake bed?
Right. I'm tipping we don't water it, but like what happens to the tree? That's my question. Like, does it actually
every year
grow?
You'd have a new one.
Yeah. So how many trees are down there?
Well, for the past 25.
And 100 feet? That's a long way.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a long way. Did the
I
people
gotta go.
did the
I
people
gotta
survive
YouTube
who
this.
plant these trees?
Well, I'm hoping so.
One would expect so.
Well,
If
I'm sure they wouldn't allow it to keep happening if
well, and
it was a
also
futile effort.
if the first people who went down to do it didn't survive, there probably wouldn't have been a second group to do it.
Yeah, everyone's like, yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah, we tried that. Not happening.
Didn't end well. So in Armenia, baking good luck bread.
Ooh.
Well, people in Armenia bake bread on New Year's Eve. They've added a special ingredient to their dough. Luck, of course. They don't literally add an ingredient called luck into their batter, but it's tradition for metaphorical good wishes to be kneaded into every batch of bread baked on the last day of the year. Now, they are actually adding in an ingredient. They are, because energetically, they're adding in luck. You can add that in.
Yeah.
Like that's why they say if a meal was made with love, it always tastes better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's why like grandma's food always tastes better, or your mom's food always tastes better.
Yeah.
Someone's food will always taste better no matter what, because it's the energy that is inserted into it while it's being made.
Yes.
It's energetically altered. So they are adding a different ingredient, and I love it.
Yep. And unlike GMOs, it's actually good for you. Like,
yes, it is.
Adding that ingredient is actually good for you. And I really like this. I mean, I tend to be a pretty happy sort of person. In general, like I'm a pretty happy sort of a dude, and so like any of these ones that are about happy things, I'm not a huge fan of the belly slitter, but
nah, not liking that one.
Any of these, it's like me being forced to get pissed on New Year's just to please the belly slitter. But I like these ones. You know, they're happy. They're about putting love into things, and you know, good luck and stuff like that. I like it. I like it, and I feel like it would taste good.
I think so. I think it would be delicious. So in Greece, they hang onions. Apparently, there's a vampire issue out there. The Greeks believe that onions are a symbol of rebirth, and so they hang the pungent vegetable on their doors in order to promote growth throughout the new year. Greek culture has long associated this food with the idea of development, seeing as the odorous onion ever seemingly wants to do is plant its roots and keep growing. Oh my goodness, that makes so much sense. It's constantly growing new roots.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. The only question I have for Greece is, with all those onions kicking around, how much kissing's happening on New Year's Eve if there's all those onions?
Yeah, and honestly, it's hot.
Yeah, onion breath.
The heat and the onions.
Not so much. I like it though. Again, it's a good one. Like it's a positive one about growing and planting, rebirth, all that stuff. It's awesome.
Yeah. Planting seeds for the new, planting new seeds for new endeavors. I like it.
Yeah.
And speaking of vampires, so in Chile, people go to the cemeteries.
Now,
so New Year's Eve masses are held at the church. They're not held at church, but in cemeteries. This change of scenery allows for people to sit with their deceased family members and include them in the New Year's Eve festivities.
Well, this one makes sense. Like, I get people wanting to be with their families, like their deceased family members and stuff. I mean, it's definitely away from all the cheerful and, other ones. It's a bit more solemn than the other ones, I guess. But so this is Chile. Now, do you know what day is it the Day of the Dead in Mexico, and that where they celebrate their family members and like they get that one day to reconnect or something like that? Because I feel like this is very similar to that. And I get it. I totally get it, wanting to reconnect with family members. But I guess it's a whole lot less festive than the other New Year's festivities.
Well, next year it's going to be on November 2nd.
Huh.
Ooh, it's going to be on November 2nd, 2022. So 11, 22,
20.
That's a very powerful day for a Day of the Dead.
It is. It is. There's lots of repeating numbers in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it.
Very interesting.
This one reminds me of Guy Fawkes. So in Ecuador, New Year's Eve festivities are lit up, literally, and not by the stuff that you're thinking. At the center of each of these bonfires are scarecrows, most often representing politicians, pop culture icons, and other figures from the year prior. These burnings of the things from the old year, as they're called, are held at the end of every year to cleanse the world of all the bad from the past 12 months and makes room for the good to come. This one I like.
I do like this.
I actually like this one. I do, because fire, it cleanses the energy. And if you're putting the intention in there of, I want to get rid of this, you will actually get rid of said thing.
Yeah. Can we actually do this? Can we do this, please? Like, I want to get rid of politicians. I want to get rid of certain people in pop culture. Can we do this?
Sure.
I feel like we need to do this, because, I mean, when you first were reading that and you said it's about representing politicians, especially, I'm like, yeah, we don't need those people. Like, can we just get rid of them, all of them? We don't need them. Yes. I mean, okay, pop culture icons. I don't know if I kind of get that one, because most of the time they're seen as a positive thing, but I don't know. But I do love the whole burning of stuff that was negative in that year to move on to the next year. I think that's fantastic. And it reminded me of a thing that you told me to do, like a little exercise to do. If there's something that you need to kind of get off your chest or whatever it is, writing it down and on a piece of paper and then burning it outside and just letting it go, which works. So, yeah, this is awesome. I love this one.
Yeah, I like this one, Ecuador. Good job. So in Denmark, they smash plates. So people take pride in the number of broken dishes outside their door by the end of New Year's Eve. Who cleans it up? It's a Danish tradition to throw china at your friends' and neighbors' front doors on New Year's Eve. Some say it's a means of leaving any aggression and ill will behind before the new year begins. And it is said that the bigger your pile of broken dishes, the more luck you will have in the upcoming year. So you're getting rid of aggression. And as soon as I read this, I was like, yeah, this makes sense, because plate throwing, there's actually places that you can go and buy a stack of plates and just chuck them at the wall, because energetically and mentally and everything, you're getting your aggression out. It's very good therapy. But okay, but it's saying that you're throwing it at your friends to get rid of any hostility, like to get rid of anything that you're holding against them. Even you having the biggest pile means that people have the most problems with you. How is that bringing you luck from being a dick?
Oh, that's gold. Until you walk out on New Year's Day, open your front door and you're like, geez, I was a massive dick this year. I was a huge asshole.
Yeah.
But I feel like this also needs to be tied into the airing of the grievances. Like, it's a...
Yes.
There needs to be a plate through.
Yes.
To air said grievances.
Oh, I love it, though. I love it.
It's good, though.
Because I like it when the countries involve people's spiritual health. Spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, everything health. And
I do feel like there would be something very cathartic about breaking plates. Like throwing it, hearing the sound, seeing it actually break. I think there would be something, cathartic about that.
Yeah, there really is. Just try it. And to top it all off, we have ringing of the bells in Japan. So 108. That's how many times Buddhist temples in Japan ring their bells on New Year's Eve. 107 times on New Year's Eve. And once when the clock strikes midnight. This tradition, known as Joyonakane, I just totally screwed that up, is meant to both dispel the 108 evil desires in each and every person and cleanse the previous year of past sins. I like it.
I do like it too, but I need to know more about that number. Why 108 evil desires? What are the 108 evil desires? Because I've heard the Bible versions, of greed and, all of those things.
Yeah.
I've seen 7. Just go
ask Brad Pitt. We'll just go ask him.
Done. We can sort that out. But what are the other 101 evil desires? I'm curious.
We need to know now.
We do. All right, there's another episode we've got. We're going to have to cover the 108 deadly sins, not 7.
Yes. Yeah.
But this is another good one too. Like, it is another good one of cleansing bad things from the year before. So I like that too. Good.
Yeah, because I feel a lot of people, because New Year there's rebirth. It's what does it say in Forrest Gump? Everyone gets a second chance, right? Like, but you can't bring your negativity in with you, or you're just going to bring the same shitty year with you. You got to leave it at the door.
Yeah.
And say it's done. If you have grievances, you air them, or you don't, or you write them down and you burn it.
Yeah.
You leave it in the past. And you look ahead, and you keep looking ahead. So I love these traditions that leave in the past, in the goddamn past, where it belongs. Yeah. Because 9 times out of 10, we don't remember it correctly anyways. So there's no point.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But I agree with you. I mean, it's really good to see all these ones leaving things in the past, heading towards the future, and focusing on a bright future as well. Like the year ahead will be a positive one. It'll be a bright one. It'll be a happy one, which is, I guess, been difficult in the last couple for people. Yeah. But, I feel like there's a lot of things that people could be burning this year. It's really been a horrible year, and like a horrible 2 years, but really, like, this year's been an absolute cluster with all of the stuff that's gone on. And, I actually feel like going through all of these old traditions and everything, and lots of cleansing and all of that, getting rid of stuff, I actually think maybe burning of masks this year should be one of those things to leave behind so that we don't have to have it next year.
That's right. I agree. I absolutely agree. I think we should be doing that, because what we focus on grows. Where we set our intention is what we will come to fruition. Mm-hmm. So if we leave the masks in 2021, we won't need them in 2022.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think that's a good idea. And so burn the mask and set the intention for freedom in 2022. And that's what we shall have. That's what we'll get. Yeah. And if you've got a bell, ring it 108 times, Yep. If you've got some whiskey and you've got dark hair, head out the door, walk back in, do all of those good things.
Yep. Eat your dough, plant a tree.
Yep.
Eat grapes.
Go for a swim.
Whatever your tradition is. Oh yeah, there's here in Canada we have Polar Bear Club.
Oh, is that the swimming in the water thing?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, ice water. Yeah. We have that.
Very cool. Pardon the pun. Well, yeah, like, just do anything, do everything to leave this year behind and move on to the next year.
Yeah.
Was there anything else?
Leave it behind.
Was there anything else you wanted to touch on before we finish up this episode for New Year's Eve?
I don't think so.
Awesome.
So that's it for us. Happy New Year, Stevie.
Well, Happy New Year to you as well. I hope it's an absolutely bloody fantastic one.
I agree. So that's us out. And I hope everyone, whatever you do, just be safe, have fun, pick up new traditions, stick with the old ones, and just go in positive. Leave whatever doesn't need to come with you at the door. It doesn't matter. It's just weighing you down. You'll feel better.
Yeah.
And Happy New Year.
100% agree. Leave it all behind. Start 2022 afresh. And I hope everybody stays safe and has an awesome New Year's as well. But until next time, bye-bye.